Just going to wait for hopefully a few people to start to join in. Gosh, yes, we have people waiting.
Already.
We have some people. We have Heather in the house, Debbie, Mustafa. Great to see you. Welcome along, everybody. Welcome along. It's good. Just wait again for a few more people. But let's just give a quick heads up what's coming your way tonight. Let me just get that set up. Yeah, this is a platform master sessions, and many of you will probably recognize that fine looking gentleman in front of us. It's Emil McMahon, who it is fair to say has been one of our leading platform members, and I think his knowledge on everything when it comes to retail is he's one of the best. So we are very, very lucky tonight to have Emil here, and we are going to be talking about the future of retail in salons. And I reached out to Emil, and particularly on the story that's kind of being covered right now, which we all know about, and I'll probably get Emil's opinions on that. But we felt, look, we need to talk about retail. It's a topic that's important. Why should we be retailing in the salon? Brand loyalty. They're the questions that we're going to be putting to Emil. He's going to lead his way. We are going to be recording this session as well. We do have our eye on the chat as well, so I can see that. So Samantha, yep, hi to see you. Good to see you, Samantha, Mustafa, and Debbie. Great to see you. So any questions, put them in. It's going to be a really relaxed conversation with Emil as well, and we may be recording this and taking extracts from this for the podcast in the future as well, as something which we are going to be doing. But as I say, we have Emil McMahon, 45 years in the hairdressing industry, Emil.
47.
Oh, 47. Wowee.
I obviously started very young.
You started at 2 years of age, did you? But so you've gone on a journey. You're very much now, I think you run your own independent training consultancy.
That's right, yes. And as you've probably gathered, my main focus is retail, because it's always been a passion of mine. It was a thing that I did for many years when I worked for Weller. I was involved with lots of training and writing education materials for Weller and TG, which are the two product manufacturers I've worked for in my life. But generally, I've always just been fascinated by retail. I am a consummate consumer. I shop every day of my life, be it in store or online. You know, I am a shopper.
Well, that's it. But you do lead your way, and I'll just show this to our members. Hopefully, you can all see that. Don't Sell, Volume 2. I had the first one as well, and I've interviewed you now, I think, a couple of times, haven't I, Emil, for the How to Cut It podcast. And beautiful book. And what I love about this title is Don't Sell, Stop Selling, Start Telling. What do you mean?
Well, for me, you know, I think hairdressers, they're great conversationalists. They can talk about anything and everything forever and a day, but give them a product to hold in the hand to talk to the clients about, and they tend to clam up, because I firmly believe that there's this mind shift that goes from being creative, doing a haircut or color or styling, to having something that they physically have to try and sell. And it just creates this mental block. So the reason both books are called Don't Sell is that I don't think hairdressers should sell anything. All I think they should do is tell about everything. And I mean everything that they come into contact with, that they use on their clients. Just tell them what it is, tell them why they're using it. And then really, you've got to let clients make your own mind up. Because in this day and age, you know, the way shopping is now, you go online and you decide whether you're going to buy something or not. You go into a store and you decide whether you're going to buy something or not. Now, there are things that kind of like make you jump into the impulse shopping world. So when you're in a giant chemist, for example, there are always teasers that make you think, oh, yeah, I'm going to get it today. But generally what happens in a salon is that the retail is away from the working environment. There's not much space on the shelves, you know, in front of the mirror. So, you know, the client's got a coffee, she might have a magazine, or they might have a, you know, something else on the shelf, and you are going to put, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 products that you might use on the shelf. It doesn't necessarily work. And that causes confusion for the hairdressers because they don't know what to do with all of this stuff. And invariably, in my experience, what I see is, you know, the finishing product, The hairdresser uses the finishing product, works it through the hair, and bang, it's amazing. And the client says, wow, I love that. And they buy the last thing rather than starting at the logical start point, which is the shampoo.
Yeah, that's right. It's not the sexy part for a lot of people, is it? It's that almost that finishing product, which is the one that everybody seems so excited by.
Of course, yeah. And, it's when you say to people, but the shampoo and the conditioner or the treatment and the spraying product and the heat defense all created that end result that magically appeared when you used the finishing product. So if you just talk about each of the products logically as you go through the service time with the client, it actually makes it easier for the client to listen to what you're saying, to absorb it, to engage with you, and to hopefully start that process of becoming a professional product purchaser.
Well, look, I want to lead into, I know we've got some bullet points. We could probably go through your whole book if I'm being totally honest, because it's a brilliant book, but it might be a long one. So again, just to remind you all, any questions, put them in. I do see the chat and I'll put them to Emil at the very end. But I've got to touch upon that, the news story that everybody's been talking about. It's been talked about a lot in platform already, Emil, and that's Boots and professional hair care products. Ranges have gone in to Boots, which has caused a storm. So what's your thoughts on this?
Well, first and foremostly, I'm very disappointed that the two largest product houses have decided that this is a route they're going to go down. It was kind of inevitable, because we know that the average salon doesn't retail much, and that still approximately 80 to 90% of all purchases are made from other outlets, online or chemists or supermarkets. So the hairdressing fraternity en masse doesn't generate a lot of revenue for product companies. However, I think there was always the opportunity for a hairdresser to talk about professional hair care that is only available in a salon, which makes it more exclusive, makes it more, talked about from somebody who is in the profession. So for me, to put products in a mass market, and I was on the Boots website today, and it's unbelievable the amount of products they actually have from both L'Oreal and Weller, and other brands, of course. And I just think it's taken away something that was special, that perhaps hairdressers didn't fully utilize, because they weren't selling as much as they should, or they certainly weren't telling as much as they should. So I kind of think, and by the way, I'm no expert on this matter, but I kind of think that the big companies are just thinking, you know what, we need to make more money from these products. Probably got mountains of it stored everywhere. Shopping habits have changed since COVID. Let's give it a go in a big supermarket or a big chemist. And that's what they've done. Personally, I think it'll backfire, because hairdressers that I've spoken to this week and last week since the announcement was made are flawed by it. They're flawed by this decision that, these two big companies that they are very, very loyal to have kind of like thrown them by the wayside and said, we're going elsewhere. I don't think it's the end of the world, by the way. I think there are lots and lots and lots of fabulous opportunities now for hairdressers and barbers to take on products that possibly answer their needs that don't find their way into a large chemist. Online is different, because I think, we have to accept that online is for everyone. And, as I said in one of the blogs I've wrote recently, because I seem to have wrote lots about this, but one of the blogs said was, but people go online to shop. They're making a concerted effort to find something online in the comfort of their own home. When they go shopping and they're kind of like walking around supermarkets and chemists, there's lots of opportunities for impulse purchases. And I believe it's the impulse purchases that are going to damage the salon sales of these products the most, because people will see, oh, there's such and such professional. It has a different ring to it. And for me, professional should always be in the salon.
So how can salon businesses, freelancers, best deal with this change that's happened?
So I've had a lot of positives and a lot of negatives about this, because I when I first read it, I was so shocked that I very quickly wrote a post on social media and basically said, ditch the products, just ditch them, get them out of your salon.
It's not that easy.
Something else. And it's not that easy, but I responded to something that I saw and thought, this is really hurtful to salons. But what salons can do is, Jez has just asked, are they selling at RRP? And yes, they are. What I think salons can do is they can open their eyes to what's out there, because there are so many amazing products available these days that are more exclusive, more niche, that offer things that maybe these brands don't necessarily cover. Because at the end of the day, these brands, although they are professional, they're still mid-market, you know, they're still like a mass market brand. So for me, I think now is the opportunity to say, you know what, let's have a look at what else is out there and change our dynamic, change our business model, and introduce things that aren't in every salon that you come across and aren't in a giant chemist. So there are opportunities.
So where do we start with that, Emil? What you're just saying there, you know, for salons to, you know, maybe bring in different products that aren't seen everywhere. What would your recommendation be to them? And by the way, anybody, if you've got any questions, any replies to what Emil's just covered there, put them in the comments below. But yeah, what would you say on that, you know, for somebody that wants to just start afresh, put new product lines in there that aren't everywhere?
Well, the first thing is obviously research. So, you know, we all know about the brands that are up and coming, that are smaller, that are like not of the level of the giants, but are, you know, sitting below them. There are some big companies that don't deal with chemists. So that would be my first port of call. By the way, what I would say is, you know, like, having worked for one of these companies for 20 odd years, I know that I used to brainwash my customers into thinking that they couldn't live without these products. And that brainwashing is still there at this moment in time. So perhaps it's a case of, you know, just getting some samples of stuff, popping down to your nearest wholesaler, having a look what's on their shelves, getting in touch with other brands, getting in touch with the brands that you use and say, okay, what do you have as an alternative to the brands that you've now put elsewhere? Because they will have other products available. They may be a slightly higher price. There may be some that are slightly lower price. But you just have to open your eyes to what's out there. Now, I'm very fortunate because I get sent lots of product, you know, and I have a review panel of hairdressers and general consumers, and I fire the products out to them, review this for me, comes back, we share it on my website. And it really opened my eyes to just how many amazing product brands are out there. So what I'm not saying is ditch it now. What I'm saying is look at what's available, and maybe you keep that product that is now available in Boots, but you introduce something next to it that is comparable price-wise, that gives the client more choice, because they get more choice when they go into a chemist anyways. And one of my frustrations with retail in salons is it tends to be linked to the salon's colour brand. You know, if I'm a Weller colour user, I stock Weller retail. If I'm a L'Oreal colour user, I stock L'Oreal retail. For me, it should be much more open than that. You know, it should be a retail in its truest sense. It should be lots of choice, which I understand has financial implications. But you can buy small amounts of brands these days that fill your shelves up with interesting products. That's what I would be doing.
Great, thank you. Right, let's get on to the question. Why retail in salon?
Well, for me, it's really interesting that somebody commented on one of my posts on, I don't know what platform it was, saying, I don't sell any retail. I let my clients make their own mind up. I'm a colour specialist. For me, it's like, okay, specialise in colour, but take all of that time to create something that's absolutely stunning, and then let the client perhaps ruin it by purchasing something out with the salon that is completely unsuitable. I talk about this a lot about online shopping. You know, I, like everybody else, have a bathroom cabinet full of mistakes where I've bought product online thinking, well, have a go with that. And it doesn't work. The reality is hairdressers are the professionals that understand their client's hair better than anyone else. So the retail is kind of like that last little bit of the full service that they need to deliver, because it protects their work for however long their client is till the next come to the salon. Now that's it in an easy way. But you know, you have to accept that we spend a lot of time learning to be a hairdresser. We spend a lot of time developing these skills. And unfortunately, people can just go and make their own choices about what they use at home. Now, funnily enough, I was in Primark today, my favourite shop, and I'm just having a browse around because I like to see what these stores bring to the market. And in Primark, they've now opened up this in Edinburgh here. They've opened up a big beauty department, and there's hair care, and there's brushes, and there's combs. And I was interested in the brushes because they're made from the hardest plastic known to man. They're never going to be good for your hair, but they're selling at £2.99 or something like that. So if a hairdresser hasn't said, I'm using this brush because of this and this, then why wouldn't a consumer buy a brush from Primark because it looked the same? If a hairdresser doesn't say, this shampoo does X, Y, and Z, why wouldn't a consumer go to Boots and buy something, or Pound Stretcher or Morrison Supermarket and buy something that kind of like says the same thing? So for me, it's always been about finishing the service and giving the client the opportunity to say, yes, please, I'll take that, or no, thank you, not today. But I think the reason we have so many issues with retail in salons is that lots of hairdressers, we are frightened by that word no. Switched on salons do lots of things. They have loyalty cards. They'll offer if it doesn't work, bring it back. We'll change it for something else. Give you a refund on it. Things that you need to kind of like think about that make it a more appealing proposition, not only for the client, but also for the hairdresser who's a little bit reticent about talking retail. But as I said at the start, hairdressers are great at talking. So if they just tell, then I guarantee they will sell, because that's the way it works.
And I think any of these things that we talked about with Boots, and we talk about Amazon, any of this is people always think it's just cheaper for them, but actually people want their salons to actually tell them about what they're using on their hair, don't they, Emil? I mean, I think that's so important. That's almost part of the expected service.
Yeah, I think that the client has put their trust and their faith in an individual in that business. That individual is very, very powerful. They have a lot of knowledge here, and all they have to do is share it and open up dialogue. We're great conversationalists. We just need to talk about things that are relevant. And, I quite often say the journey in a salon should be like a book. It should be chapters, and there should be really important chapters and stuff and nonsense. And the really important chapters are why I'm using this shampoo, why I'm using that treatment or conditioner. The fluff is, have you got your holiday booked yet? How's your daughter's wedding plans coming on? That kind of stuff, which is very, very important because we still want it to be an interactive, communicative experience. Because if you just talk product, client will switch off. We all would. So, you have a chapter about shampoo and conditioner. You have a chapter about what's happening with your hair today. You have a chapter about, isn't the weather bizarre at this moment in time? You have a chapter about why I'm using this comb and this spray and conditioner. Then you have another nonsensical little chapter. Then you talk about the styling product, the hairdryer that you're using, why you're using a particular brush. And so it kind of like ebbs and flows between important, not important, important, not important, important, not important, right the way through, just like a book does. Because a book always has really powerful chapters and then filler. That's the way it works. And by the way, I'm not saying that about my two books because they're just packed full of really, really powerful stuff. But yeah, I think
they are.
But I do think, but if you read it, if you read the books, that there is like lightweight stuff to try and soften the message again. And that's what hairdressers need to do. They need to just talk about why they're using what they're using, because they've made a concerted effort, a concerted decision to pick up a given shampoo because they know it's going to be the best for that client's hair and scalp. So tell them about it. It's all you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just saying to everybody, I can see your questions. So I'm going to come back to all these at the end. And I'm going to put these to Emil. Some good stuff already coming in there. All right, some great stuff on that there, Emil. We could really just go in deeper, but I'm just keen to stick to our bullet points on what we were talking about. And something that you also wanted to mention was about brand loyalty. So, yeah, share with us what you want to cover on this.
So for me, if I go back to my Weller days, brand loyalty was absolutely paramount. A salon made the decision to move to Weller, and they stuck with it through thick and thin because Weller stuck to them through thick and thin. It was a two-way relationship. But then, I would say maybe about 15 years into my Weller career, people started changing. And L'Oreal had this campaign, and it said something like, "I've switched because." And it was all over the Hairdresser's Journal, and big Weller accounts are moving to L'Oreal. "I've switched because." And brand loyalty kind of like took a little bit of a dip. So what happened was the product manufacturers thought, right, okay, what do we need to do to kind of like counteract this? So they started giving them more kind of like things that made them feel like they were worthy. There was lots of big gifts, there was lots of holidays overseas, things that made people think, oh, I'm staying with this brand. But slowly and surely, as the market increased in the amount of products that were available and the products that were innovative and exciting and were, like I always refer to Weller as being like a cruise liner. And then you have a brand like Davines that's maybe like a little speedboat that can really push on there. It can move faster than the Weller cruise liner. So if Weller wanted to introduce something, it probably takes in excess of 2.5 years for it to happen. By the time it's gone through all of the mechanics of that organization and the corporation it's attached to. Whereas a smaller company can latch onto something quicker or bring out something new and exciting quicker. For example, Olaplex and K18, kind of like revolutionized a lot of what's going on in the world. And yes, there are other products that are like them, but they seem to get in there quick and make their mark. And what that did was it kind of eroded loyalty. And it eroded it to the point where salons thought, you know what, I'm going to start cherry picking what I actually want from my main supplier, but I'm also going to introduce a little bit of other things. So brand loyalty is less relevant now than it's ever been. But we're in a time of shift. And I think the smaller companies that are up there, they've got their kind of like foot in the door, they will generate a new kind of brand loyalty that hairdressers will buy into and really appreciate because they feel more special. Because the problem is, honestly, when you are a company the size of L'Oreal or Weller, it's very, very hard to satisfy everybody, especially the larger groups of salons and the middle groups of salons that want a lot, like exposure, etc., etc. It's very hard to kind of like please everybody. So I think the way brand loyalty is going to go in the future is you are going to be brand loyal probably to your colour house because that's key. And that's the hardest one to crack if you were like a competitor to the big boys. But the other products, like your styling, finishing, shampoo and conditioner.
Is that your delivery?
Excuse me.
Just to pre-warn you, so before we started this, Emil said, I may have a delivery come in. So his delivery, I'm just curious to know where he is. But good to see you all in the house. Just see Greg joined. Hey, Greg. Samantha, I see them questions. How you doing, Paul? Good to see you there. Mustafa, yeah, thank you for all. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. That's why I wanted to bring Emil in. What you had delivered, by the way? Can I ask that question?
I did tell you I was a consummate consumer. It's from ASOS.
Love that.
I'm really
Love that.
embarrassed.
That's great. No, look, that's proper live. So good. They deliver late in your area, I must say.
They do, yes. So yeah, I was saying that I think brand loyalty is going to shift. It's going to be there for your colour, perhaps, but I think there'll be different elements of brand loyalty for different brands that are interesting and interested in hairdressers' business. So for me, brand loyalty it's not a thing of the past. It's a thing of the future, but it's going to be very different to what it was.
Yeah. Is this what you see then as that changing phase of retail?
Mm-hmm. I think the changing face of retail, you see it everywhere. If I'm absolutely honest, the changing face of retail in my world did not involve L'Oreal and Weller going into Boots. It really didn't. I understand why big companies have products mass market, but I didn't see part of the changing face of retail being professional going in. So I think the changing face of retail is that there are some really innovative, interesting, quirky products that are appealing to different age groups. And one of the things that I talk about in the second book is generations. If you understand how generations shop and what excites them and what they buy into, then you really do have to have a much broader selection of retail to offer. So salons who want to retail seriously can't just have one brand. Really, they need to have 5 or 6. They need to have something cheap and
Yeah,
cheerful.
because it goes back to that brand loyalty, doesn't it? And you made a really interesting point, Emil, where you said about, if you stop that you use that color, that's the brand that you use, and you just remain that loyal. But you'll never see that in any of these shops, brands, anything we talk about. There's choice, and people want that choice.
Mm-hmm. And the reality is, if you have a cheap and cheerful range, it's still a good quality product line, but it appeals to younger people. It appeals to people who are in the generations where money is a little bit tight. It definitely appeals to the kid element, because Generation Alpha, God bless us, when they come up of age where they're purchasing product, we're in for a seismic change, because Generation Alpha, they're 7 or 8 at this moment in time, but they're all like this on their phones, browsing websites and things. So when they grow up, who knows what will come. But then you have mid-market products, mid-market price products that appeal to the masses, to people who are Generation Z and Generation X, Generation Y, millennials who, want to invest in something that's good quality, but don't necessarily want to go high end. But then you always have to have a high-end brand. I believe you have to have something that's aspirational, because we all aspire to something bigger and better. And in this world where we are kind of like totally bombarded with luxury and designer goods, they have to have something that kind of like stretches the client a little bit into the world of luxury. So for me, the changing face of retail in salons means it has to be bigger, it has to be bolder, and it has to be much, much more varied in its range.
Yeah, well, you say about salons as well, Emil, and I know some of our audience watching in, there's independents there who work small, freelancers. Does this conversation, how do we talk to the independent hairstylist on retail?
I think this is the challenge, and especially in this day and age when there are so many independents, with salons in their back garden, or people who rent chairs. I have a niece who is a hairdresser, and she rents a chair. So we were having a big lengthy debate about, what do you recommend to your clients for products? And the salon she works in does have a retail line, but she doesn't like it. So she prefers to go to the wholesaler and buy products that she likes. And she has her own little stand, buy her chairs, and that's what she talks to them about, which I think is not the norm for self-employed. So most self-employed either recommend what the salon has or don't at all. And I know that there are a lot of hairdressers who don't recommend or sell anything, because they just do what they do and then leave it to the client. I believe that no matter who you are, whether you are employed or self-employed, whether you work in a salon, rent a chair, or whether you have a shed in your back garden that has a backwash and a mirror in it, you should always be talking about how to maintain and look after that client's hair at home. And you should also have the products that you are using available for them to purchase. It just seems to be the natural thing to do.
Absolutely. And just we're going to start coming towards the end, as I want to, because I'm conscious I want to bring in some questions. But you talk about in the space online, in the salon, in the shed salon, whatever. What about online? Yeah, should we all be online with our retail?
Absolutely. This was really interesting when we went into lockdown. Because I have a social media business as well, so I look after social media for a lot of different organizations, but quite a few salons. And I just said, you know what, guys? whilst you're not doing anything, get your e-commerce platform up and running and share on your social media platforms, because your clients are going to have to buy product from somewhere, and it might as well be you. So you might as well keep them or keep your salon in their minds while they can't visit you. So set up your e-commerce platform. And I tell everybody, Facebook, although it's a bit of a challenge, setting up a Facebook shop is, once it's done, it's done. It's not easy, but it's not hard. And most people know some geek who can build a web shop like that. And even I could build a web shop, and I'm not computer friendly at all. So I kind of like said to people, get it done, because the more you don't embrace this aspect, the more you will lose to online platforms that do. And if you are a loyal salon customer and they have a web shop and you are sat at home and thinking, I need some shampoo, bang, go onto the website, there it is, my salon, my product, job done. So for me, e-commerce and m-commerce, which are the same thing really, but just make sure that it's mobile friendly, are an absolute must for a salon to have these days. It just seems bizarre that we are so creative, but when it comes to something that's fundamentally helpful for the business, we kind of like shy away from it. So I think we need to do it.
There you go. Absolutely. I agree. That's why I had to ask that question. So the opportunity we have, and how do we run with this opportunity?
I think the opportunity is that things are changing in the hairdressing world, and it opens doors that we've maybe not wanted to walk through because we were loyal to a particular brand. Now, because the loyalty we have to those particular brands has not been necessarily rewarded, it means that the floodgates have opened, and we can go out there and we can find things that really excite everybody. The team, the clients, the salon owner. Because change is good. I always say this, change is good. It kind of like it excites, it energizes people. And it makes them think, okay, I'm going to have to try this because I want it. I'm very taken by the bespoke brand that's available now. There are a couple of businesses that make bespoke products. So it's a capsule collection of products, but it's branded with their own salon logo. Everyone I know that's taken the one on that I'm aware of can't get enough of it, because for me, it kind of like elevates the retail to a different level. Because if I see a bottle of shampoo and it's got my salon's logo on it, that feels powerful. It feels like, wow, my salon has its own range of products. And the benefit of that is when it's in the bathroom at home, every time you go to wash your hair or style your hair, you see your salon's branding right in front of you. And I just think that's a really clever idea. So I just see Samantha just asked about.
Yeah, I just saw that come in as well. Yeah.
I think it's kind of the same thing, but there are some companies that are making them very bespoke, but then there are other companies that are making a capsule collection that you buy into the collection and then it's branded your own way. So I think, the doors are open. All we have to do is we have to walk through them. And we have to start experimenting, and we have to start getting in touch with these different brands and saying, look, are you interested in coming to see me? Can you send me some product to trial? Blah, blah, blah. And Sam just said, are they good enough quality? Well, the one that I know of, I won't share the name, but I'll send you it, Sam. I've tried the products. They're absolutely amazing. The quality of the ingredients, the packaging, everything about it is second to none. But the price point is vastly different to what you'd imagine it's going to be. So,
yeah. So if you just maybe after the live, Emil, you can maybe just go and put that in, and that'd be great for people to just go and get that.
It's very, very interesting. And there are other brands that have a limited array of retail products to go with their professional color or straightening product or smoothing product, whatever it might be, that are perfect because it adds another dimension to the retail offering.
And something I just want to mention as well is, we're in a more sustainable world now. which is good, which is needed, and refill stations. I mean, we could be as creative as we want on refill stations, Emil. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts would be maybe on this.
I think refill stations are an absolute must. You know,
How
and
can
I
we
know
do that?
lots of brands are doing it now, and not every brand is doing it. So if the brand that a salon owner is using doesn't do it, my recommendation is don't refill, because you need to have, you know, it needs to be correctly produced, it needs to be manufactured to go into a refill kind of like station, etc., etc. So I wouldn't do it if my brand didn't do it. I wouldn't do it off my own back. And I know some people do, but I just think, you know, there is a risk of cross contamination, stuff like that, that should be avoided at all costs. But most brands are now stepping into the world of refills. So I see that, you know, Armani have just launched 2 new refill fragrances for theirs. So, you know, if the high end fragrance houses are doing it, it will filter through to everybody. You know, I know Davines do it. I know certain Weller products are refillable. So there are lots available there. And as Sam rightly says, you could use backwash and refill it from there, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could be as creative as you want. You know, you've got a lot of these pasta places now, and you know, you go in and refill your own pastas, and
Uh-huh.
I just look at it. I just think it's a non-brainer. You know, we could
Oh,
actually then retail our own branded, you know, reusable shampoo bottles,
yeah,
and think how creative
absolutely.
that could
Yeah,
be. And you know, if we would get like what you started this off with, Emil, is we've got to think more creatively now. How are we going to compete against the big guns and the chemists, the online, you know, the boots? It's doing things like this
yeah.
that they
You know,
can't do, and
I,
having the experts behind it
yeah,
telling them why.
I think that's key. For me, it's always about the professional. So I wrote a blog post today about putting the profession back into professional, because for
Yeah, I
me,
love that.
a professional product should be recommended by somebody who knows the profession. And the only people that we know that know the profession is the hairdressers and barbers that we deal with. So they are the people who should be able to talk to clients about the best products for them. Just one other thing, the brand I will mention at the end of the filming does offer a refill service as well. So, you know, it's getting there. It's
Okay,
becoming
cool.
more apparent. And I remember years ago, there used to be a range, I cannot for the life of me remember it now, that had a refill station. And I'm talking 20 odd years ago, maybe even longer. And it just didn't take off. It was way ahead of its time. People just kind of like looked at it and thought, why would I do that? You know, I've got my bottle of shampoo, I finish it, I throw it in the bin. Those days have changed. We're all aware of, you know, how we need to be more careful with packaging and the sustainability of the planet, etc., etc. So I think refilling is one of those options that salons at this moment in time should definitely be looking at. Does this brand offer a refill service? And if it does, brilliant.
Yeah. How are you going to wrap all this up before we just go into some of the questions that have just come in that we've kind of going to just go back and have a look on? I probably won't be able to bring all these in, but we'll try and pick on some. Yeah. So how are you going to round all this up?
Um, you know, I think looking back over the last 2 weeks, it's been a whirlwind, because hairdressers and barbers up and down the land are kind of reeling with the decision. And I think the reason they're reeling is, you know, one, because it's gone into somewhere where it was never supposed to go into, but also it was done kind of underhand, really. You know, it just happened. And before anybody knew it, the brand that they might have just took a big Christmas order in for is now finding itself somewhere else. So this flurry of activity, I think, is the start of a new approach to the world of retail in hairdressing salons. Some hairdressers are just going to give up the ghost because they don't want to face that challenge. But I believe the hairdresser who recognizes that retail is an intrinsic part of the service will do their research, and they'll find the brands that appeal to them and appeal to their staff and appeal to their clients. And when that happens, the excitement level is raised and retail will start improving. Because I do think, to wrap it up, sometimes we get in a rut and we just stick with what we've always known. Whether we've been brainwashed or not, we just tend to stay with it. But now we can do whatever we want. We can go out there and we can look at all of these amazing products and say, you know what, let's give it a go. It's only, you buy 2 or 3 little shampoos to have a go with, and you say, no, they're not for me. Then you buy another 2 or 3 from somewhere else. So, in a nutshell, it's time to open up the doorways and become much more creative in the products that we have to recommend in salon.
I love talking to you on this, Emil, because you make it so exciting, and it should be exciting because it is such a massive part to our service that we provide, but also to our bottom line. We can't underestimate the power of the profits from retail. I think it's important. So thank you so much for everything you've covered it. I just find you so great to listen to, hence why we have many chats and
Thank
interviews.
you.
So I'm just going to go back here. I mean, I don't know what you can see. Are you seeing me as I scroll these down, or
Yeah, I can
you've got
see.
the
I
same
can see that.
screen?
I can see the chat box as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go right back. If I don't go through them all, I apologise. If you've got any more questions, put them in. We're going to be about another 5 minutes on this, and then we'll be bringing things to an end. Samantha, Gary was asking, why don't small salons or independent stylists make a buying syndicate to get greater discounts from brands?
So there are some salon groups, especially down south, that have a buying syndicate. That they all club together and they approach the big manufacturers and say, "Look, we are a group of X. What can you give us?" And it can work, but it can also have a negative impact because what tends to happen is it's the salon owners that make all of the decisions, and then the salon teams don't get a say in it. And for me, something as personalized as retail needs to have the team's backing to work.
I can see it just getting a little bit messy, if I'm
Yeah.
being totally honest, in the syndicate. Mustafa, what about the masses of built-up stock? This is when we were talking about the boots that hasn't shifted. The cost of holding 2 lines of product that also do the same thing, etc., would be very damaging to the bottom line.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's one of the biggest kind of issues that salon faces. If they're going to carry 5 or 6 ranges of products, then that's a hell of an investment. But it's proven the more you have on your shelves, the more you will retail. However, today I was in Jigsaw, the ladies' clothing store, and here in Edinburgh they used to have a massive, massive store, and they've moved to a much smaller premises because a lot of their shopping now happens online. A lot of their clients shop online. And in the store, they only carry on the shelves 2 of every size. So, sorry, 2 sizes. So they don't have a small, medium, extra large, blah, blah, blah. They'll maybe have a small and a large, but they'll say, we have other stock available, but not on the shelves. So they've kind of like minimized what they carry, but they have a backup stock of different sizes. And for me, I think if a salon has an array of products, they don't need to have 6 of everything. The days of the shelves being racked up and stacked up are gone. But they still need to have enough stock to kind of like keep it ticking over. And the other thing is, the smaller companies will deliver very, very quickly. So you can keep a kind of like a rollover of your stock happening without having to have masses and masses and masses in store.
Okay, again, just conscious I want to just get some of these in. Maybe not just go to the whole question, but Paul Gregory, hey Paul, what are your opinions on having small businesses making us professionals 100%? Natural vegan products that they learnt how to make themselves, because I think we should be supporting the smaller businesses as they've had a very little support, just like our industry.
Yeah, I think, once again, here in Edinburgh, there are a couple of really small companies that are making kind of like quite unique vegan products and, much more kind of like organic products. The problem is that they're kind of like at the very, very start of their journey. So their investment has been big, their costs are massive. So the products aren't necessarily affordable. They're not mega expensive, but they're not entry level. So I think it's unfortunate, but it's like a catch-22 situation. They've got to grow to allow salons to be able to afford to take them on in the first place. And I think therein lies the problem with that level of product, because I think, you know, there are some bigger brands out there that are vegan friendly, etc., that have got to the point where they're able to support more and offer more to salons. But I think it's an interesting concept that is probably going to grow as we move more towards a more sustainable product manufacturing world.
Okay. Debbie put earlier on, she won't stay with any brands that sells in the high street like TK Maxx. We used to be a Dermalogica salon in the beauty side, but stopped when clients could buy it cheaper in John Lewis. Samantha put here, and Greg sort of said he was going to ask the same question, could never understand why brands would never swap out bad lines for that salon to their best sellers for that salon. One product might sell better in another salon. Jez, don't hairdressers just need to learn their product knowledge better and personalize their communication as boots, etc.? We will not be able to advise unless they employ specialist advisors.
You know, I think Jez is right. You know, hairdressers, what they tend to do is, you know, they like their favorite product that they've maybe used on their own hair, or, you know, they tend to latch on to just a handful of products. But when you have a wider range, you need to know everything, and you need to kind of take it upon yourself to learn about everything so that you can talk about it comfortably. You know, it would be a bit like not understanding the 127 shades in Colson Perfect. You know, it's unheard of. Hairdressers understand that I need to know what this product, this color mix is going to do, so that when I use it, I know the result I'm going to get. They need to do exactly the same for every shampoo, conditioner, styling, and finishing product and bond builder that they have. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, and the other point about, you know, there are no experts in boots. There are lots of grumpy old women usually who are serving you who are not one bit interested in what you might ask them because they genuinely do not know.
Yeah, I love it that people go in and ask for advice on hair colors and what products. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, great point. Greg, hey, Greg. I work on a basis that the last 5 years or more on what's in it for our salon, what are the USPs, and I feel we get from the best independent brands and distributors who need us to grow. Once that changes, we move on. Heather said, I stock the products I use and then access to an online professional platform, Wella, the clients can purchase from.
Okay.
Cool.
And that's absolutely fine, you know,
Yeah.
because some people, that's their business model. And that's
yeah.
fine.
I think it's a good business model. I think, you know, if it works, then that's good. It's all about, you know, different options. Paul, this one, yeah. How can I, as a sole trader barber, make things cheaper? Do I go and get my own brand made, or do I go buy another brand's but not have the same quality?
I think what needs to happen is need to not necessarily think about cheaper as always being the best option, because, you know, the world of barbering has changed beyond recognition in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe slightly longer. And, you know, guys especially now are more in tune with looking after themselves and looking after their hair. And, you know, a barber does an amazing job. And if they talk about the product in the same way that they talk about everything else whilst they're in the salon, who knows? Clients might purchase a little bit more. But yeah, there are some relatively inexpensive barber brands out there that are quirky and interesting and do a good job. So I would, once again, do a little bit of research.
Yeah, great. Jez here. Just again, I'm going to have to round it up. I appreciate I'm taking everybody's time. It's been really good. Everybody's just stayed with us all the way through, Emil. So congratulations on that. And everybody's so engaged. And I think this is how much interest and respect people have from your knowledge on this just comes through heaps. Jez just said, I was told last night about a salon who stickers their retail products.
Wow. I think that's an interesting kind of like thing to do, because I'm sure they're probably breaking the law.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there'd be a few issues around that one, but okay. But
But they must be very clever if they can create a label that
yeah,
matches the label that's on the product.
yeah. We find that this is Greg. We find that brands that sell best online for us are the brands that are not the mainstream and are for a niche market.
Mhm.
Yeah, it kind of goes back. What's your thoughts on what label brands? I think you've covered that.
I'll
Uh,
just share that brand now.
you thought of it, okay. Sam, have you a PDF guide to asking brands or reps to get the best for retail? That's from Samantha Emil.
I don't really know what you mean, Samantha. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. Have you a PDF guide to asking brands or reps to get the best? Yeah, I'm not sure what she means by that one. Okay, how do we pronounce that? Rayu? Ryu?
Rayu, yeah,
Rayu.
yeah.
Okay. I'm sure everybody's going to be on. Jez just coming in here, sticker in just to share ownership, not take ownership.
Mm, I think it's a what I would call a grey area. It's a bit
Yeah.
yeah.
How would you feel, Jez, on your product range? That would be interesting. Thank you, Emil. But look, so good. I think it's been absolutely brilliant. As I say, we've recorded this. So if you're watching this in the future and you have any questions, then all you need to do is just tag in Emil and he will always be happy to share back. And I think you can reach out to him directly in his profile here in platform. And all your links are there, aren't you, Emil? And if again,
Yes, they
just
are.
your book. Are you still offering this opportunity as well for our members to
Yes.
get hold of this book?
In fact, I've reduced it. The two books at the moment are available for £10 plus postage and packaging, which
Ooh.
is just crazy. It's crazy, and there is a reason why I'm doing it. It's because I'm moving house, so I'm trying to just shift a few before I move because they'll all have to come with me.
That's a good way.
Terrible
Well, look,
reason
we'll
to
get on
tell
that. So just
something.
don't sell is the book and get in touch with Emil. And again, anything on sort of his consultancy, he provides all this service as well. So, look, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us with us tonight. I've got to say, I think you've all enjoyed it as much as I have listening to Emil. And yeah, I just want to say a very special thank you for taking the time to do this in amongst having deliveries from ASOS, Emil.
I'm still blushing. I'm still blushing from it. But thanks for asking me on, Dom. You know, I've
It's
really
been
enjoyed myself. And
Yeah,
hope
likewise. It's been a pleasure. And everybody, tomorrow we have our platform town hall. So anybody wants to come in and bring a topic, want to carry on some of these conversations that we've had tonight, then yeah, you can step up and have that conversation. So I'm going to end the stream now. Have a great night, everybody. And yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow in the town hall. Thank you.
okay. Bye everyone.
I,
Thanks a lot.
I'm not, by the way, when I hit this end stream, Emil, I can't remember. We may just lose contact completely. So if that's the case, thank you. I'll be putting this into the website, but we'll hit the end stream and we'll soon see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
I hope. Bye. Oh.